Hey guys, this is John Scarborough. I wanted to do a little update on some of the results of the bale grazing from last year. And I say bale grazing was actually a mix between rolling bales down these hills and then letting them get stuck in some of these brush piles. So we're actually using the weight of the bales to push everything down, but then using the cattle to kind of get them to get in an area where they normally wouldn't have gotten into, and using the weight of the bale to help them to be able to get in there with pretty easily. Okay, and so I mean, I think you can see, I think it speaks for itself. I mean, I could say a lot about it, but I really think this speaks for itself pretty good. Now I'm gonna try to walk around here in just a minute and show you everything, kind of let you see different views, but I'm also going to put a link in the description, and I'll also put it in the comments. I've noticed a lot of people, they don't seem to look at the videos from the descriptions, but if you're watching this video, you need to watch the other video to kind of get an idea what the difference is and what bale grazing actually did for this area. Okay, so I'm gonna put a link in the description, possibly in the comment section as well. Go and check that video. It may be more than one video, so go check those out. But anyway, what we did is we rolled bales down all across there because it's a spot we didn't want to bush hog. We didn't want to take the growth away, the bushy stuff, the trees and things like that. We didn't want to take it away because it's such a steep hill. Plus, it's a really bad spot to even bush hog anyway. But it's such a steep hill, and this is actually really close to this creek over here, really big creek. And this is actually a wall that when the water comes flooding through here, it will actually build up from here and practically become part of the creek, and it will turn into a river essentially, and it will build all the way up to the top of that hill. So this spot right here, all of that growth really helps to hold in the soil and keep you from just losing all your topsoil. So it's not something we wanted to take away. We kind of wanted some of that bigger root structure, but we wanted the smaller root structure as well, because that's where you really get your strong net that holds your topsoil in, is when you've got organic matter and multiple different types of root structure, large and small root structure, net in together. Okay, now anyone that knows anything about grass knows that what we're looking at here is actually majority of rye. Okay, now I will say last year there was no rye here as well. Okay, so when you roll out hay, you're going to get rye in the winter, which is I mean, come spring, you're going to get some ryegrass, which is actually wonderful. Okay, but that's the beginning. You're also putting a lot of seed out, summer grass seed. So this right here will add fertilization. It adds food that wouldn't have been here, but also we're seeding the ground for more summer grass as well. Now the summer grass may not explode this much this summer. Sometimes I've noticed that the summer grass, for this to work, might take 2 years, not necessarily 2 years of doing it, just 2 years, like a second winter is what I mean to say, before you really see a huge explosion of it. You will see some summer grass this year for sure. But you can see here, we've got our large root structure there, and we're starting to get a little bit of small grass and small root structure. So, and that's a lot to do with opening up the canopy. You can see right there, that little strip coming down, a bale came right through there. Okay, they cleaned that up walking up and down that, and now it's just covered in grass. Okay, and there's a little bit of hay left over in there, but if that's going to break down, that organic matter is going to hold a lot of water, and that's going to help us a lot in the summer. Okay, and you walk across here, you see the next spot where another bale went down. Okay, right in there. My battery's getting ready to die, guys, so I'm gonna kind of speed this video up a little bit. But anyway, there's another spot where another bale went down, and if you come around here, you can see several places where we had. I mean, we really spread that out in there, and the cattle did a lot of that because the bale was right here, but the cattle actually tromped a lot of that down, coming up and down there and eating that. And then there was a lot of stuff going on over here, and they've cleaned that up a lot too. These cattle trails are actually old cattle trails. They were here before we gained access to the property, and that's something we're trying to fix too. Okay, That's the thing I don't like about cattle trails right there. That could be a washout. But we rolled hay out over it last winter, and we're hoping that we'll start to see some grass grow up in it this year. Now I also want to touch on this real quick. We had one last little old spot here with some berry vines, thistles, a couple little weeds, and notice what I did there. Okay, I just let the cows in here, and I chose this area right here to put my mineral trough. Okay, now why did I do that? I did that simply because they're going to put more pressure on the place where their mineral trough is. So if you're moving your cattle and you're moving your mineral trough, you better be, because you need to be giving them some mineral. They don't get enough of it in our depleted soils. But if you're moving your mineral trough because you're moving your cattle, you need to be thinking about where you're putting it, because every little spot that you put it, you're adding a lot of nutrition, okay? So I do one of two things. A, I put it on the highest point of my pasture, wherever the highest point of the place that I'm putting them, okay? And that's because any nutrition that falls on the ground will roll downhill, okay, and help fertilize all the way around, okay? Or secondly, I put it on the worst place of my property. So if it's a really bad bare spot, a really nasty spot, I can put that on there and I'm getting a lot of nutrition. And maybe I didn't say thirdly, but I'll go ahead and say thirdly, and that's this right here. If I have a big clump of weeds, like I have a really nice clean pasture, and all of a sudden I have just a big clump of briars or something like that, maybe there was a pile of limbs there at one time that rotted away, okay? You put that there and I guarantee you they're gonna knock all that down, and it's gonna come back in some really pretty grass. And it's one of the only ways I've really seen to get rid of thistles and berry vines without, of course, bush hogging or spraying. But I really like that method. You're moving it anyway. It literally did not take me any more time to move it there versus moving it up there. It's just all in how you're looking at it. You just go ahead and think about it. You think to yourself when you're pulling it in, well, is there a better place to put it? Okay, so no, you're not getting a lot all at one time, but let's just say I bring them in this pasture 5 times this year, okay? If I never did anything else across here, which I will, okay, well then that's several spots that I could put that mineral trough in this pasture alone.